poetry today. My name is Julie Jordan Scott. I'm with Aging Joyfully, and I'm thrilled to see that Catherine and Teacher Kelly Tag are here. Also, if you scroll through the comments, you will see that there are some poems. I will be pinning those as we go along. So in case you like to read the poetry while we're reading, you can read it with me as I'm reading it. I'm also reading from this book, which is The Path of Kindness. It's one of James Kruse editions. So I thought that I would share from this, but also share from the Poetry Foundation. And hi, Miss M. So good to see you again. By the way, Miss M and I were with Teacher Kelly Tag, who is also in the comments. We did a live stream together. Just got done about a half an hour ago about young George Washington. And you got to see the nerdy side of me, the nerdy social science side of me, which I could go on, and theater, that I could go on and on about for hours. But right now we are in the poetry land, and we have some really remarkable poems, and I'm going to try to stay somewhat calm because I get so excited that I can't help myself. But welcome. Hi, Cindy. So glad you're here. I know that Catherine is here in her car. So I wanted to find the just right poem to start with today. Okay. So some of these poems that I chose were specifically about summer. And so here's one called The Pool by James Kruse, who is the person who curates this poetry collection. I really love these books by James Kruse. One of the things I love about them, this is The Path of Kindness, Poems for Connection and Joy, is that these poems, as you will hear, are very accessible. Even if you aren't a poetry fan, you may love these poems. And in fact, all of the poems on Poetry Foundation, what the Poetry Foundation website is, it is a collection of every single issue of Poetry magazine from the beginning of time. So more than 100 years of poetry. And you can read these poems and articles and interviews and podcasts on the Poetry Foundation website. So I'm glad to teach you about that or show you about that too. You know, I do the same thing, Cindy, because if you go like this, boop, it will take you, like if you, like, and I'm not even meaning to, I do the same thing. I'll find myself in all different live streams. I found one of my favorite live streams that way, actually, so. Okay, so the first poem is called The Pool by James Kruse. Because he couldn't afford the kidney-shaped in-ground pool we all wanted, my father went out and bought a used galvanized pool whose rusted rim I refused to touch. As usual, he had a solution. He split a length of black rubber hose down the middle with his pocket knife, then stretched it over the rough sides inch by inch until no rust showed. Back then, I never thought such gestures were selfless, evidence of what we call unconditional love. But now I feel my small hands gripping soft rubber, and I see my father on the back porch, cigarette hanging from his smiling lips as he watches me lift myself out of the pool, flinging cold water from my goose-pimpled skin as if he'd been reborn again. Father's Love, beautiful poem about a swimming pool. You can write a poem about a swimming pool that is so heartful. So good to see you, Catherine. Another one, Carrying Water to the Field. This is another father poem. And on those hot afternoons in July, when my father was out on the tractor cultivating rows of corn, my mother would send us out with a mason jar filled with ice and water, a dish towel wrapped around it for insulation. Like a rocket launched to an orbiting planet, we would cut across the fields in a trajectory calculated to intercept, or perhaps even surprise him in his absorption with the row and the turning always over earth beneath the blade. He would look up and see us, throttle down, stop, and step from the tractor with the grace of a cowboy dismounting his horse, and receive gratefully the jar of water, ice cubes now melted into tiny shards, drinking it down in a single gulp while we watched. Mission accomplished. Whew. Okay, one more father poem. We missed Father's Day, I suppose. So hello, good to see you, Fred L. or Fred Ellie, nice to see you. I don't think we've met yet, so it's nice to see you. If you haven't had a chance to like this live stream yet, I would appreciate it if you would. It's very helpful to me and helps more people to find poetry. And perhaps some of you haven't heard poetry read aloud to you in years, so this is your chance to sit back and enjoy. This poem is also very heartwarming, and then we'll go into the ones from Poetry Foundation. This is called At the Creek, another father poem. I go to the creek with my daughter. We squat at the water's edge and look around. Some pebbles, a few sticks, a cottonwood leaf. With these, we make a tiny world in which nothing moves. Would that be heaven then, where all things come to rest? It's as if I stand once again by my desk on the first day of school and the teachers call my name. And I say, here. She looks up and smiles at me, and I at her. Here, I say again. Here. I really love that. We all do that in class. Here. I used to say present just to be different. Love that poem. Okay. There's also a couple poems I want to read about waking up, but we will go into the poems from Poetry Foundation. And we're going to start with Sidewalk Chalk. I must be feeling like childlike today, because these are poems about. Let's see if I can get them. I put these in the comments. I can't get it pinned. I was hoping to be able to pin them, but every time I click on it, I go to the. Oh, there we go. There we go. I figured out the trick. So if you look to the now pinned message, you will see the link to Sidewalk Chalk. But it will take you over there. So if you're on your phone, you might not want to leave. But you can look at it later. So here we go. Sidewalk Chalk by Carol Boston Weatherford. Big and bold now, write your name. Draw an arrow, then take aim at a puffy heart. Kim loves Kyle, doodling sure to bring a smile. How about some tic-tac-toe? You be an X, I'll be O. Draw a yellow happy face, or the finish line for a relay race, a wide, wide river to leap across, a little circle for the beanbag toss, a bigger circle to play dodgeball. Trace a shadow 10 feet tall, make a line for tug of war, and signs that no one dare ignore. Create a sun with a beaming grin, a great white shark with a giant fin. Draw a square to make home plate, a swirly figure 8 to skate. Big and bold now, write your name. Keep the score for sidewalk gains. I love that one. I love the, we don't hear that in poetry of today much, the metrical verse, except for like children's poetry, we still do. When I was a little girl, I belonged to a book subscription. That's like the one subscription my parents would buy, books and magazines. And one of them, I can't remember what the company was, but the books were often written in verse. And they're really good to help children love language because they're hearing the sounds. And the sounds keep it interesting. Okay, I'm going to read next, Ode to My Shoes. Ode to, let's see if I can get this to work. Ode to My Shoes. I will say, after the live, you can go look at the poems. Okay, and this is by Francisco X Arlacion. I think that's how you pronounce it. Arlacion, it's a C with apostrophe, and accent over the O. So I can speak Spanish okay, but I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that one. Okay, my shoes rest. I love this thought. So think about your shoes. You take your shoes off when you go to bed. You put them underneath your bed or wherever you put them. And Francisco wrote, my shoes rest all night under my bed. Tired, they stretch and loosen their laces wide open. They fall asleep and dream of walking. They revisit the places they went to during the day and wake up cheerful, relaxed, so soft. Ode to my shoes. I love that thought of sentient shoes, or shoes that are alive. Do you have any pairs of shoes that you could write a poem to? Yes, we're saying rhymes in here. Did you hear that? 2 poems ago was very much a rhyming poem. So I had Ordinary Time on the list, but it's really long, so I'm not going to read that. Yeah. How about Nature Knows Its Math? This is a rather short one by Joan Bransfield Graham. This is mathematical. Mathematical poem, Nature Knows Its Math. Divide the year into seasons, 4. Subtract the snow, then add some more green. A bud, a breeze, a whispering behind the trees. And here beneath the rain-scrubbed sky, orange poppies multiply. So what state might that one be about? Cindy, what state might that be about? I'll read it one more time. Nature Knows Its Math. This also rhymes. Divide the year into seasons, 4. Subtract the snow, then add some more green, a bud, a breeze, a whispering behind the trees. And here, beneath the rain-scrubbed sky, orange poppies multiply. That is a poem, I believe, about California. Our state flower in California is a poppy. Thank you, Kay and Rowe. Kay and Rowe is doing some work for me. Hey, Pam. Yes. I was going to say last week, Pam, we had so much fun. I was reading Shakespeare. I was going wild last week on the poetry live stream. Okay, so we're going to read some poems about waking up. Waking up. It's Wednesday, yes. And I'm doing this on Wednesday rather than Thursday because tomorrow I will be picking up Samuel at the airport, and I'll be running around in points south of here. So I wanted to be sure that I could be attentive. So here I am in the manse and I can be attentive. Tomorrow I may not be attentive. So that's why I'm here on Wednesday. So I'm going to read a poem called How to Wake by Annie Lightheart. It's another family about brothers and siblings and parents and grandparents and all that. Here you go. And dogs. Wake your brother with a soft voice by his pillow. He's been very afraid. Wake your mother with a kiss before calling her name. Wake your grandfather with a touch on his knee, then wait. He has far to come from the places he's been. Wake the young dog with an open door. Wake the old dog with an outstretched hand. And yourself? How will you wake that stubborn sleeper to life? Look for a line let down through the water. The silver hook is baited with a word. Bite and awaken to that wild, clear sound. That's How to Wake by Annie Lightheart. And across the page, because this is what James Cruz does, is he has related poems on the pages. I really like that one. This is called Wake Up by Alice Wolfe Gilborn. On the radio this morning, they played something truly remarkable. I'm going to start this poem again. This is a poem about birds. I love this. I love this. On the radio this morning, they played something truly remarkable. The sound of unknown birds around the world awakening to the first light, starting in the east at dawn, going west, hoots, howls, warbles, then riffs and trills as another contingent, another continent woke up until I could feel Earth itself turning with its brocade and bristle of trees and music, that strange and lovely communion of birds. I wished and failed to name them. Miffed, I let other thoughts jump in. What are they doing? Why were they singing? For mates? For space? For joy? I heard only myself, my mind a darting squirrel making a din while the dawning music slowly died. Maybe it's time to listen, to think sunrise, birds, trees, earth turn, to sing a little song at daybreak. That's Alice Wolfe Gilborn, who wrote Wake Up. It's beautiful. How I love bird song in the morning. Yes, maybe it's time to listen. Exactly, Miss M. Glorious, absolutely glorious. Okay. There's even a poem here about the telephone repairman. Okay, so we'll read that one by Joseph Miller. All morning in the February light, he has been mending cable, splicing the pairs of wires together according to their colors, white blue to white blue, violet slate to violet slate in the warehouse attic by the river. When he is finished, the messages will flow along the line. Thank you for the gift. Please come to the baptism. The bill is now past due. Voices that flicker and gleam back and forth across the tracer-colored wires. We live so much of our lives without telling anyone. Going out before dawn, working all day by ourselves, shaking our heads in silence at the news on the radio. He thinks of the many signals flying in the air around him. The syllables fluttering, saying, please love me, from continent to continent, over the curve of the earth. If you're thinking maybe poetry is a cool thing, maybe Julie's onto something, these collections are a great place to start. Oftentimes when I meet people who aren't interested in poetry yet, when they hear these poems, they're like, wow. Oh, CL, thank you. It's nice to listen to something quiet while you work. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We live so much of our lives without telling anyone. I can relate to that. As I've told most of my YouTube friends and strangers that I'm having surgery on Friday, I realized this morning, or actually I've known for a while, I publish Good Morning Love on Facebook. I do Good Morning Love videos, and so every day I write on Facebook greetings to people who care to read them, and quite a few people do read them. But I haven't told them I'm having surgery, because sometimes I feel like there's so many of them, and I just don't want them all to know. When I was pregnant with Samuel, I did not, and that's when I had my largest online following. And back in the turn of the 21st century in 2001. And I didn't let word out that I was pregnant. I didn't want to share that with the world, but it's different then. Yes, we live so much of our lives without telling anyone. That is such a great line. Okay, so this is another one about love called The News of Love. And it's, Pam might help me. Why can't I remember what it's called? When there's an epigraph. At the beginning of the poem, there's another line from a quote or a line. In this case, it's a line from Emily Dickinson that says, how old the news of love must be. How old the news of love must be. The squirrel on our maple flicks its tail, our dog at his window watching steadily. Love is steady too and sturdy. Like a 1,000-year-old tree, they built the house around it. The dumb loves fun too, like the baby laughing non-stop whenever you rip some paper. You feel love more than see it, like the wind on your face. But don't take my word for it. Look instead at the shoreline pines, how they all lean in one direction, even when there's no wind. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh, do I read this? All right. Yes, I'm going to read this because I think I did not read this last time. Thank you for the prayers, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are so nice. Thank you. Okay, and Rose wishing me well. Catherine's wishing me well. Miss M, Cindy. I do feel very loved. Thank you. Okay, this poem is by Naomi Shihab Nye, and sometimes I don't read it because it's pretty intense, but I'm going to read it today because I'm just in that kind of a mood. And we've had all these beautiful poems. And after this one, we'll read one about a bouncing ball, so it'll be very different. Okay, here we go. Naomi Shihab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go so you know how desolate the landscape can be between regions of kindness. How you ride and ride thinking the bus will never stop, the passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is you who I have been looking for." And then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. That's Naomi Shihab Nye, Kindness. She's an incredible poet. She works a lot on children's books too. Okay, the next poem is called, it's such a beautiful poem. Oh, Lori, thank you. She just finished the Glimmers video. I'm glad that you watched it. I've slept with sorrows too. Okay, the ball poem, very different. Okay. It's very different, but there's a little bit of sadness in here. Let me go back to the other ones. Let me go back to the shoe one. Okay, the ball poem. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. People will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning, well behind his desperate eyes, the epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing that every man must one day know, and must know many days how to stand up, and gradually light returns to the street. A whistle blows, the ball is out of sight. Soon part of me will explore the deep and dark floor of the harbor. I am everywhere. I suffer and move. My mind and heart move with all that move me. Under the water or whistling, I am not a little boy. Okay. Whew, that's intense. I thought it was going to be a fun little ball poem. So let's go back to James Cruz. Let's go back to James Cruz. Okay. How about a great wild goodness? How about that? How about that? Yes, exactly. The light does eventually return. That's a beautiful poem too. All right, so we're going to read a poem by Annie Lightheart, and wow, look how fast time has gone. It's like I've had such a great afternoon talking about history and movies and social history and reading poetry. This is pretty much paradise for me. I appreciate those of you who stuck around. Annie Lightheart, A Great Wild Goodness. We'll read one more too. Ellen Rowland. I cannot not read this No Small Thing poem. Okay, A Great Wild Goodness. One morning, I was looking out the window when a great wild goodness came over me. I wanted to be kind to everything. I promised not to kill the big spider on the wall. In the cold, I took the dog for a long walk she'd been wanting. I fetched a trash can lid for an ornery neighbor and did not just then add a single adjective to his name. I went back inside to the laundry and dishes with a clean heart, such as I never had. Before dinner, the wild goodness shouted, "Too tame, too tame!" So I went outside without my coat and shouted poems up to the stars until my children came out with their small, warm hands. Then we ate bread in the kitchen, unafraid to be happy. The stars in wild darkness were right over our heads. I think I'll do that with my grandbabies. I went outside without my coat and shouted poems up to the stars. Wow. Okay. So this last poem, I put a prompt in it saying, what is your no small thing? The poem's called No Small Thing. So think about, what is your no small thing? I think I've read this before, but I don't remember it, so I don't think that you would be. Yes, unafraid to be happy. I thought of that too, Miss M. We ate bread in the kitchen, unafraid to be happy. Yes, I understood too. It really hit. It hit somewhere. A Great Wild Goodness by Annie Lightheart. Let me see what it says about her. I really love when they have in the back of poetry collections, they have a biography of the people. So it says, Annie Lightheart began writing poetry after her first visit to an Oregon old-growth forest and now teaches poetry wherever she can. Poems from her books Iron String and Pax have been featured on the Writer's Almanac and in many anthologies. Annie's work has been turned into music, has been used in healing projects, and traveled farther than she has. She hopes you find a poem to love in this book, even if it is one she didn't write. Thank you, Miss M. Thank you. Okay, so what is your no small thing? Think about that. The smell of baking bread, smooth, floured hands, butter waiting to be spread with blackberry jam, and I realize this is no small thing. These days spent confined, I am drawn to life's ordinary details, the largeness of all we can do alongside what we cannot. The list of allowances far outweighs my complaints. I am fortunate to have flour and yeast, a source of heat, not to mention soft butter, the tartness of blackberries harvested on a cold back road, a kitchen, a home, 2 working hands to stir and knead, a clear enough head to gather it all. Even the big toothy knife feels miraculous as it grabs hold and cracks the crust. It's no small thing. Hi, Vicki. It's good to see you. It's good to see you here. Thank you for joining us in the theater. I love reading poetry. Can you tell? I'm going to audition. I'm going to go be really risky and tell you all that I'm going to audition for a play. I think the auditions are the 22nd, which is the day before I get my sutures out. So my hand will be all bandaged up, and maybe that will be a plus. But it's also, the show opens during the rehearsal process. I have a week that I'll be in Amherst, Massachusetts, so I don't know if that'll be okay. Okay, so this play, Kelly, you may have heard of it. We sometimes refer to it as Those Monologues. They're monologues about being a woman, and they use in their title a woman's body part that I don't want to say here. But they're monologues, and they're kind of about the woman's perspective of life. And I have performed these monologues, many of them, many times. So I'm going to let them know that. And yeah, so usually when it's just a monologue show, they can work around your schedule. So, but I would love to meet these women who are putting on the show, because like I said, I have directed, acted, produced, teched. The same, well, they're always different productions, but it also depends how they do it. If they do monologue, if they do it with a whole bunch of women, but if they only do it with 3, sometimes they only do it with 3. Yeah, I won't say, you know what I'm talking, you've heard of it. I've really enjoyed it over time. There's a couple monologues I would love to do that I've done before. I've literally done, I think, all of them that would be appropriate for me to do. But it would be fun. It would be fun just to meet the women. So, thank you, Pam. You know the body part too, Miss M? Yeah. So, yeah. It's been like, I've been involved with that production for like over 20 years in Bakersfield. So to say that, and that's the other thing. I don't want to come off like I'm a know-it-all either. So it's kind of like, we'll see how it goes. But it'll be fun to audition, because I haven't auditioned for such a long time. Okay. All right. Well, guess what? We've been here for half an hour. I'm thrilled and I'm grateful, and I have enjoyed this time with you reading poetry. I'm so blessed that you all are being so supportive of me. After this, I'm going to hopefully I'll make another video before Friday. Another long form maybe. Thank you so much. I'm glad I don't come off like I know-it-all. I think the last play that I did, I think I was taken as kind of a know-it-all. So I'm very tentative in that respect. But I am experienced, so I always want to be of service, and I think I just overdid it in that particular community. So we'll hope this community is not that way. All right, thanks so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this, and I look forward, as always, to the next time we connect. Take good care. Read more poetry. Have a quiet evening. I'm going to go out for a walk. I'm going to go out for a sunset wonder walk, y'all. It's gorgeous out there. I can't wait to go. Bye.